If the New York Knicks want to get to the NBA Finals next year, Leon Rose must answer these 5 questions. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for rolling in. It's only been about 36 hours since the New York Knicks season has ended, and I already miss it. If you miss watching your New York Knicks go to battle every single night, hit that thumbs up icon. We got to have a big offseason. That way, we can move on from the Eastern Conference Finals to the NBA Finals. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it. 5 burning questions for Leon Rose as the head of basketball operations if the New York Knicks want to do better than they did in last year's season. And look, there's a lot to digest from this year when it comes to the New York Knicks. I am happy with this season. I do consider this season a success. And while I am proud of this team and I acknowledge that it was the best season of my lifetime, the most fun I've ever had watching the New York Knicks, some of the best feelings I've ever had as a sports fan came watching this team. I think if you asked Jalen Brunson, he would say they fumbled the bag. They missed an opportunity, a golden opportunity, to represent the Eastern Conference and get to the NBA Finals for the first time in 25 plus years. So all that could be true. We could be happy, we could be sad, we could be proud, we could be anything. But we should all acknowledge, while this is a major success, there is still, and there was, a lot of meat left on the bone for this squad. I think that echoes true with Tom Thibodeau immediately once the season was over, saying this is a big offseason for us. And I thought the word us was interesting because is Tom Thibodeau a part of us? We'll talk about that in a second. The Eastern Conference remains wide open. Injuries to the Boston Celtics is what it is. Like, they're not going to be that great of a team next year. I'm sure they'll still win 45 games. Maybe they make moves, and maybe Jason Tatum comes back earlier than expected. But this conference is wide open, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers going at it again to represent this team in the NBA Finals on the biggest stage in the sport. The first question that Leon Rose has to ask himself, and then he has to find an answer for, and it better be the right answer, is can Tom Thibodeau raise the ceiling of this New York Knicks team enough to where it's not just that they get to the NBA Finals, it's that they hoist the trophy for the first time in 50-plus years. I've gone back and forth on Tom Thibodeau a lot, and I'll just say this. At one point in time, I thought there was no way. Well, at one point in time, I was like, yeah, there's a way. And then there was like, no way he could be that guy. And after this postseason, I think he deserves a lot of flowers. And this is about where I'm at, and it can continue to change with more evidence. Tom Thibodeau is not the perfect head coach. Like, let's just keep that straight and narrow. He's not the perfect head coach. He's stubborn in his ways, but his stubbornness in his ways, I think, make him great. And sometimes in life, things that make you great are also your Achilles heel. His offense is outdated. Like, there's no way around that. I think at one point before Game 5, Jalen Brunson and karl-Anthony Towns were involved in one assist opportunity where the ball went from Brunson to karl-Anthony Towns. How the hell is that possible? Karl-Anthony Towns shot the least amount of threes in the regular season this year since he did in 2019. The New York Knicks shot less threes this year than they did last year or the year before that when Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein was the starting center. So the offense is outdated. But I do believe if you give him the necessary tools and with the right roster, he can get it done. But there's a certain way that he has to get it done. They have to be the best defensive team in the NBA. They have to take care of the basketball, and they have to make tough crunch time buckets. Is the perfect coach? No. And look, if your reason for wanting to keep Tom Thibodeau is he's better than what we had, stop watching this channel. It's the dumbest take I've ever heard. It makes no sense. That's like saying, well, 2 girlfriends ago, I had a girlfriend that cheated on me 5 times. And now this girlfriend I have has only cheated on me 4 times. But she's better than what I had, so I can't go look for something else. You sound stupid. You sound like an idiot. And it's simp energy. You can always find better. And just because what you have now is better than what you had, that doesn't mean you close the door. Sorry for that. I just hate that take. The Knicks can win a chip with Tom Thibodeau, but they have to give him the necessary equipment. And then once you do keep Tibbs, you got to ask the question, Leon, can Jalen Brunson and karl-Anthony Towns win this city a championship as the best two players? I believe the answer is yes, absolutely. But I think Indiana revealed a major flaw about this team. Maybe it's just because Indiana was the best offense we had seen in a long time and have seen in a long time. It's really hard to win an NBA championship if 2 of your 5 starters are well below average defenders. Here are some playoff defensive ratings for the New York Knicks. What is a defensive rating? It's how many points do you give up per 100 possessions. I went and broke it down by a lot of different lineups. When Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns were on the floor in the playoffs, the New York Knicks gave up 115 points per 100 possessions. That's terrible. When Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson were on the floor, they gave up 113.7. When Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson were on the floor, they gave up 105.2. That's an elite number. When it was JB, KAT, and Mitch, 117.3. When it was OG, Mikal, and Mitch, it's 109.3. The thing that pops off the screen to me is Jalen Brunson might have been the Knicks' worst defender in the playoffs. In the Eastern Conference Finals, it was very clear that Jalen Brunson was the worst defender. When Brunson and Towns were on the floor in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks gave up 120.7 points per 100 possessions. You're never going to win a series like that. And a large part of that isn't just because the half-court defense was bad. A lot of turnovers when Jalen Brunson was on the floor, as well as Karl-Anthony Towns, a lot of turnovers. And neither of those guys are built to play transition defense. What about when it was Karl-Anthony Towns and Deuce McBride? 109.2. So the question that needs to be answered is, can Jalen Brunson and KAT coexist to win a chip? The better question and the bigger question is, can Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Tom Thibodeau as a threesome get it done? Because this is something that I've just come to accept. If the New York Knicks are going to win a championship with Karl-Anthony Towns on this team, they need to have the best offense in the NBA. The offense has to be so good with KAT. You have to be able to maximize KAT as an offensive player, which Tom Thibodeau cannot do. It has to be so good, the offense with KAT, it overcomes the defensive deficiencies. Like, if you're the best offense in the league and you're like a bottom 10 defense in the league, you can get that done with KAT. But the Knicks were nowhere near an elite offense this year, especially since January 1st. Which, if you're going to keep Tibbs, I'm just not sure that Karl-Anthony Towns is the championship piece you're looking for at center. And I think a defensive center next to Jalen Brunson that maybe scores 10 to 14 points per game and is a great defender might make more sense. Jalen Brunson is going to be here. Like, we know that. And that's why I think it's just more likely that Towns gets traded. I think it's more likely he's back. But if you're making a move, I think Karl-Anthony Towns, more likely than anybody else outside of maybe Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, are the pieces that are going out. I don't think the defense was a major problem against against the Pistons. They were fine against the Pistons. They were fine against the Boston Celtics as well. Celtics missed a lot of shots, which helps the New York Knicks case at all. And the New York Knicks didn't lose necessarily to the Pacers, in my opinion, because of Karl-Anthony Towns and the lack of impact he brought on the defensive side of the floor. But when you're going against what I would call was the best offense I had seen in recent memory, more ball movement than I've ever seen, the pick and roll with Halliburton and Siakam, Halliburton and Turner, Siakam taking advantage of any mismatch he get. They did the whole we're not going to miss thing for 5 of the 6 games in the series. Like, to slow that down, you needed an elite defensive performance and elite ball control, which they did not do, turn the ball over way too much. I don't know. Like, when you're playing a team in the playoffs and their offense is pick and roll after pick and roll after pick and roll, and you're bringing Brunson and KAT into the pick and roll every time, you're having to play not left-handed, but with both hands tied behind your back, and you're just letting them take advantage of you. To win an NBA championship, you need to have a very low amount of things that can be exposed. And when KAT and Brunson are on the floor, they can't be exposed. And they were. The next thing Leon Rose needs to find out, and I think the picture has been painted with very vibrant colors. What is the starting 5? Because the OG starting 5 of Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Karl-Anthony Towns, you cannot run that next year. That cannot be the starting 5. Wasn't even the starting 5 that you closed the Eastern Conference Finals with. In the Eastern Conference Finals, Brunson, Bridges, KAT, Towns, KAT, OG, and Hart, that five that was there all year, they were outscored 12.5 points every 100 possessions. That would have been the worst starting five in all of NBA last year. In the regular season, in the playoffs, it would have been the worst. It didn't work for whatever reason it may be. It didn't work. Turn the page. Go find the next answer. Is the answer Mitch, KAT, OG, Bridges, and Brunson? I don't love it. But it was much better than the original starting five. They were plus 2.8 points per 100 possessions in the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's like a 15-point swing. And like to bring it home even more, the OG starting five from January 1st until the end of the regular season, they got outscored by 1.4 points per 100 possessions. The group heading into Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals was a minus 33. It's actually incredible that they got this far. But that question needs to be answered. And I think in that lineup, you just need an upgrade somewhere. And we'll talk about that in a second. But first, get hooked up with our Knicks Now Real One t-shirts. If you roll with Knicks Now and your New York Knicks all year round, get your shirt. Chatsports.com/realknicks. We got blue. We got black. Get your shirt today. Support the show. Get some gear. Support the Knicks. What's Josh Hart's future? That's a big question that needs to be answered. I've seen a lot of people, and we've talked about it on this channel before. Marsh, he's the Marcus Smart. You got to trade Marcus Smart. The Boston Celtics did that. They won an NBA championship. They also got bounced in the second round the year after. So just because they traded him, that's not why they won the NBA championship. I don't think you need to trade Josh Hart. But I do think there needs to be a moment where Tom Thibodeau is shown with bulletproof evidence that he can't be the starter on this team anymore. And even if he is a six-man, which I am fine with, can't play 40 minutes in the Eastern Conference Finals in Game 6 with the season on the line. You need players that have very few holes in their game. And in that starting lineup, you had one ball handler in Jalen Brunson. Josh Hart doesn't shoot the ball well enough. Josh Hart didn't play well enough on defense. Josh Hart didn't take care of the basketball. It was a really bad series for Josh Hart. Just is what it is. He'll tell you that. He told you that. He was embarrassed with his performance, and he couldn't look his teammates in the eyes. I love Josh Hart, one of my favorite players to ever wear a Knicks jersey. But if the Knicks want to go to places that they've never been, he cannot be a starter on this team. I don't necessarily think you have to trade him, but I won't be shocked if he's no longer on this team when the season starts. Another huge question, and the last one we're going to talk about in today's show is, what are we going to do with Mikal Bridges? Mikal Bridges, his first season, not great. Not great. And like a tough role for him, a tough spot for him. He got judged on a superstar level when he wasn't asked to be a superstar. He was your point of attack defender and kind of regulated to being your third and fourth offensive role. Look at this quote from The Athletic. Shout out to James L. Edwards III and Fred Katz, who wrote this article, saying, Mikal Bridges and his reliance on mid-range jumpers benefited him, but wasn't conducive to creating advantages for his teammates. In March, Bridges violated one of the no-nos in playing for Tom Thibodeau, questioning the heavy minutes for the starters. The comment rubbed the coaching staff the wrong way and showed a disconnect. Bridges may have been near the end of his first season with the Knicks, but he was still acting like the new guy, though the drama hardly led to anyone's demise. And now he finds himself in a spot where the New York Knicks can offer him a 4-year extension worth $156 million. I wouldn't be shocked if Mikal Bridges turns that down. Not because it's not enough money. Maybe he just didn't love playing for the Knicks. Fair or not, he was judged off of being traded for 6 first-round picks. He didn't choose to get traded for 6 first-round picks, but he was. And myself included, we all held him to that expectations. And he fell way short. But you don't beat the Celtics without him. And you don't beat the Pistons without him. And you don't get to where you were without him. But there was still a lot of things he just didn't do well enough. And one thing that glaringly sticks out to me is he can't dribble the ball. He can't pass the ball. He is a catch and shoot player that doesn't shoot layups and is asked to guard other teams' point guards, and that's not really his strength. Like, he's a wing defender. He's an off-ball defender. He's not a point of attack defender. And I guess just what I'm saying is the Knicks need another creator. Like, winning a championship is tough. The Knicks may need another star, and that may need to be an upgrade over Josh Hart or an upgrade over Mikal Bridges. Maybe you keep Bridges and you keep Towns, then you need an upgrade over Hart at the 4 spot. It's a lot of work to be done, despite being 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. I'm hoping Leon Rose can do it again. He's made a lot of big-time moves for this team. Like, wasn't too long ago that we were hoping Emmanuel Mudiay or Ron Baker or any of those dudes were going to be the savior. Frankie Smokes. Like, should the Knicks run it back? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Look, I don't think there's a reason to blow this team up. Like, it's year 1, kind of. It'll be year 3 years for Brunson's in the books. Tibbs has been the coach for, 6 years? But it's year 1 of this nucleus. No need to blow it up, but keep your ear to the streets. Like, if a deal becomes available that's going to improve your team, do it. You should also be making calls as well as taking calls. You need an upgrade, or you need to just lengthen out the team and get more bench players that contribute and not be thrown into the fire when your backs are against the wall. My dream move is Giannis Antetokounmpo, as it should be for everybody. He's the second best player in the NBA, and I don't really think, like, at minimum, he's a top 5 player, even if you're not the biggest Giannis fan. Jalen Brunson needs someone else that can carry the load from time to time. And KAT did that from time to time, but in Game 6, we saw that nobody else could do anything except for Jalen Brunson. He couldn't even do anything. If it means you got to trade OG Anunoby, you know what? I'll take a 30-year-old Giannis. If it means you got to trade KAT, I'll take a 30-year-old Giannis. If it means you got to trade Bridges and Hart, got a 30-year-old Giannis. And if I go down swinging with Brunson and Giannis as my top 2 players for the next 7 years, I can rest easy at night. I think there's moves to be made, but there's also no reason to blow it up. It'll be an interesting summer, and a lot of tough decisions will have to be made by Leon Rose. We'll be here all year, so subscribe, turn those notifications on, and hit me up on social media at @MarshallGreen_. Let's go Knicks.